You are listening to the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode 64, Cubs Motown Madness. Don't forget to listen, download, review. Most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the socials. Fly the W670 on Twitter, Instagram, and of course on Facebook, or email us, flythew670@gmail.com. Happy midweek, Crawly. How you doing?
And I got to tell you, you'd think winning 2 of 3 would make me happy, but I'm not there.
Yeah, it was a little bit rough. Madness is a good title for episode 64 because it was a lot of madness up in Motown, especially on Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, you're sitting here, you look at all the numbers, you see what these teams are doing, and the Cubs are just like barely surviving. Maybe what did they used to call the 83 Sox winning ugly?
Yeah.
I mean, it's boy, oh boy.
Yeah, it was ugly for sure. No doubt about that. So let's go through it, Crawly. Game 1 was on Monday night. That was Javier Assad's game.
Yep. And the Cubs got on the board first as the Pirate Air opened the door to a big inning. We talked about a good hitter, how good of a hitter Spencer Torkelson is, right? I mean, that guy was hot, and he was hot most of the series, but boy, he cannot field. I mean, with one out, Dansby walked and Sayas singled. Heimer Candelario hit one right to Torkelson, which would have been an inning-ending double play, but he didn't get his glove to the ground. It went right through the wickets. Dansby's going to score, and the Cubs would have runners at first and third. Then Alex Cohen threw a wild pitch to score Suzuki to make it 2-0. And with 2 outs, Nick Madrigal doubled to put the Cubs up 3-0. Seiya Suzuki later on would add a solo shot in the 4th. And Cub fans have to be feeling good at this point, right?
Absolutely. You got to feel great at that point. No doubt about it. That's a good way to start it. And Seiya Suzuki is keeping it going. So that benching, if you will, really paid its dividends.
Yep, and Javier Assad doing well, but in the bottom of the 5th, Dansby made an uncharacteristic error on a ground ball from Javi Baez. Assad then walked Zach McKinstry. He was able to get out of the inning, but I thought after that he kind of looked really shaky. When he came out in the 5th, the next 2 batters he faced, Spencer Torkelson and Kerry Carpenter. I mean, those guys are just hitting bombs. They had 8 when the series started. I don't even know what they have now.
Yeah, and it's not easy to hit. It's not easy to hit the long ball in that park.
No, I've been there. It's crazy big, and they hit back-to-back solo home runs and make it look easy. And so the Cubs lead was cut in half, 4-2. Assad got one more out before top prospect Parker Meadows hit a single to end Assad's night. He went 5.1 innings, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits. But both of those runs, Dustin's, and 3 of the 5 hits he gave up came in that last inning of work. He walked 2 and struck out 4, but I was happy with Assad's performance.
Yeah, overall, it seems like he's still working into the role, if you will, trying to get in shape. Kind of, they like to talk about stretching a guy out. I think he's still getting stretched out and building up that endurance. So, yeah, overall, not bad. And just, 2 bad pitches back-to-back to the 2 studs that the Tigers do have in their lineup.
Yeah. Now, Hayden Wesniewski came into the game, and Dustin, I was surprised. It's pretty early that, after 5.1 innings, he faced 2 batters, got him out, but he didn't leave him in there. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, is that an issue? Kind of the same question, Crawly. Is there something to the fact that Wesniewski has to be stretched out or put in, learn how to pitch in the situation? So this is a situation where I'd have to go back and check the box score. So he came into a game in relief. We know he's done that before. Has he come in, gotten the job done, sat down, and then come back out and had any success? Has he even done that? Or I don't remember off the top of my head. I would think he probably has, but I'm with you. I was trying to figure it out, and I don't know how to dig up if there's a stat or a metric out there for that's easy to find without me combing through every box score. So has he gotten the job done, sat down, got back up, and had success? Now, so if he's gotten the job done, sat down, come back in, and then not had success, maybe that was the reason why. Or if he's never done it, that could be another reason why. I don't see why it would be a big deal, but we've had it explained to us by people in the game that could be an issue.
You can ask Tommy Hotovy when he appears on the Mully and Haw show. Wednesdays at 9?
Next week, every other Wednesday. So
every other Wednesday?
He wasn't on today. He'll be on next week. Yes.
Right. I'd love to know because, he's a starter. Obviously, that wasn't a clean inning, but there was nobody on when he came in. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he had to face
Right. Well, I'm
runners or
saying
anything.
he got the job done. I just don't know
Right.
if he's come out and then gone back in. That's what I'm wondering.
Right. And I just can't see. Maybe I'm missing something. I just can't see what the issue would be. So that was it for him. Ian Happ hit a 2-out triple and Cody Bellinger singled to give the Cubs what would turn out to be an important insurance run, because in the bottom of the inning, Michael Fulmer came into the game and he struggled mightily.
That's as bad as he's looked in a long time.
Probably since the beginning of the season. He gave up a double, a single, and a walk to load the bases with no outs. With Parker Meadow making his debut, Fulmer threw a 2-2 fastball that was clearly out of the zone, but the ump gifted him with a strike 3 call. So appreciate that one, Blue. But 1 out, bases still loaded for former Cub Javi Baez. Now, okay, the bases loaded was bad. This really wasn't Fulmer's fault. He threw one that sawed Baez's bat off, and it landed right on the foul line, scoring it 2 runs to make it a 5-4 game. He saw it off the bat. What does Kumo say? That bat died a hero?
Yeah.
I mean, not much you can do there. And then Zach McKinstry hit a weak fly ball that fell in front of Bellinger, and the game was tied. Baez's quote double had an exit velo of 80 miles per hour, and McKinstry single had an exit velocity of 74 miles per hour. Just some bad luck. Like I said, the bases loaded situation to load the bases, that was on him. But the runs that scored on the Baez double and the McKinstry single, I mean, just bad luck, Yeah. But Daniel Palancia came out. He hadn't pitched since August 13th with runners at first and second and no outs, and the game tied at 5. He was able to get 2 strikeouts to end the threat, so that looked good.
Absolutely. Palencia looked good. That was a good situation from him. Here's the funny thing. I'm just going to admit something. I didn't even admit this on the Mully and Haw show, I don't believe. With that 4-0 lead early on and Assad cruising, Crawly, I was almost a little bit bored because they were playing the Tigers. It was a Monday. And I was like, this is really not that interesting. Okay. No, we'll win this game. Okay. And then all of a sudden it got tight as heck. And, I had to grab the Pepto-Bismol, if you will, as we keep going through this thing.
Oh, yeah. Down in it like a shot, right? You got shot glasses of Pepto-Bismol. But with momentum on the Tiger side, Yan Gomes led off with a double. And somehow Nick Madrigal, on a ball that looked like was going to hit him, he basically was falling to the left when he hit this one. But it goes down the third base line, and the Cubs retook the lead 6-5. Madrigal would come around to score on an Ian Happ ground out, and the Cubs led 7-5. Mark Leiter would close it out. He gave up 1 run on 2 hits, and the Cubs would win this one 7-6. The offense scored 7 runs on 9 hits, 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position. How about Nick Madrigal going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs? Seiya Suzuki had a solo home run. Dustin, Madrigal has slashed 298, 371, 422 since being called back from Iowa with an 8.3% K rate. That's courtesy of our friend Alex Cohen down at the Iowa Cubs. I mean, the guy's done everything you could ask for. I mean, he's not a power hitter, but he's getting the job done.
He is getting the job done. I have a feeling, he might even make the hot list this week. We'll have to wait and see in a couple of segments. All right, so the Cubs are up 1-0. You had to suffer through that one. Then game 2, you were more concerned about this than I was, and I was wrong. Drew Smyly rocked in game number 2 against the Tigers.
So I guess the question I had for people who told me, all right, Smyly's coming, I get it. Maybe he gets a little bit of rest coming out of the bullpen, but I never saw anything that showed me that he was ready to be back as a starter. And, the second batter he faced, Andy Ibanez, hits a solo home run. So welcome back, Drew. He walked the next batter, Spencer Torkelson. He throws up a wild pitch, gives a single up to Kerry Carpenter, and the Cubs were down 2-0. Now, on the top of the second, the Cubs had 2 on and 2 outs for Morel, who continues to struggle as he struck out to end the threat. The Tigers added another run in the second when Parker Meadows singled. Zach McKinstry hit a ground rule double, and Meadows scored to make it 3-0 Tigers. The Cubs didn't have a hit in the 4th inning when Ian Happ lit off with a walk. Dansby Swanson's going to homer to put the Cubs on the board. And then Seiya Suzuki singled, and Jaime Candelario hit a majestic home run, pimped it out, and the Cubs were up 4-3. Hooray, right?
Hooray. And he definitely admired that one going out of Tiger Stadium.
Oh, yeah, and he knows what that's like. He played
He's
there
done that
before.
a few times, yep, absolutely.
But, Smyly gets handed the lead, and what does he do? He walks the first batter he faces, Parker Meadows. Zach Short would strike out, McKinstry would single, and then Matt Vierling singled. Candelario made a good play, but he should have pocketed it. He threw it away, and a run scored, and the game's tied at 4. The next batter, Andy Ibanez. The guy who hit the home run off him, the second at bat, in the first inning, he gets a pitch in the same exact location. And guess what? Same exact result, a 3-run homer, and the Cubs were down 7-4. Ridiculous.
Yeah, at that point, I was really red-ass Crawly. That really, really bothered me last night.
They did a great job breaking it down on the postgame on Marquee, and literally they showed it. It was the exact same location, both pitches that were jacked. And so the offense continued to fight back for the Cubs. Talkman walked in the 5th. Horner popped out and Happ struck out. But Cody Bellinger doubled to put runners at 2nd and 3rd. Dansby Swanson would single. 2 more runs will score, and the Cubs were only down 7-6, but they wouldn't get any closer. The good offensively, Dansby Swanson, big game, 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a home run. Candelario was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a home run, and Seiya was 2 for 3. Hayden Wesniewski went 2.1 innings and gave up only 1 hit. He struck out 5 and walked 2, but the bad. Nico had an uncharacteristically rough day, going 0 for 5. Ian was 0 for 4 with a walk, and Christopher Morel was 0 for 3. I said give Morel a rest. Made no sense when Magical was 2 for 4 the night before.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And now we see that Hayden Wesniewski, obviously, if he went 2.1 innings in relief, he was able to get out of an inning. He sat down, he got back up, and he had success. But I wonder about going back to game 1. We're going to have to dig deep on that. So game 3, Crawly, the rubber match, just got done about an hour ago. It was an afternoon game, got delayed a little bit by some rain. Jamison Tyone throwing for our Cubs.
Yep, good start to this one. Top of the 2nd and 1 out, Seiya Suzuki doubles. Yan Gomes advances to 3rd on a flyout, and Heimer Candelario with another double to put the Cubs up 1-0. Cubs weren't done scoring in the top of the 3rd with 1 out. Nico singled, Dansby walked. Ian Happ would strike out, but Horner and Swanson would execute a double steal, and with 2 outs, Cody Bellinger would single to put the Cubs up 3-0. Now Nick Magical would hit a 2-out RBI in the 4th inning to make it 4-1. Dustin, Magical is hitting .345 with runners in scoring positions and 2 outs.
That's pretty good.
Now, the game's going great. Tyone is cruising. He has a no-hitter through 5 and only 1 walk, and that's where the nightmare begins. The first 3 batters reach to load the bases. He gets Riley Green to strike out. He gets Spencer Torkelson to fly out, and the run does not score. But with only 1 out left to get in the inning, Tyone falls behind Kerry Carpenter 3-1, gives up a grand slam to tie the game. And, oh, my God, you want to talk about banging your head on the desk? That was me.
Right, literally and figuratively, maybe, depending on the time of day. There's another situation where you've got 2 guys in this lineup that can really hurt you. You got the 1 guy to pop out. You've got 2 outs, and it ends up the worst possible outcome that could happen with Kerry Carpenter. He hits a grand slam. The game's tied at 4.
Right. I mean, I honestly, there's nothing. I don't think there's anything you really could have done in that situation. It just, like you said, the worst possible outcome occurred. It was, I don't know if I would have done anything different if I was in that dugout. Kerry Carpenter hit one and nothing you can do,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you could have walked him. You could have walked him and been down 4-2?
I mean, Kerry Carpenter's good. He's not Barry Bonds. I don't know if the bases loaded walk would have been something. I mean, and especially that he got Torkelson out the batter before.
I'm sure that was, I know. It's easy to say in hindsight, but it was just very frustrating.
Oh, absolutely. And in the top of the 8th with 1 out, Ian Happ reached on an error by Zach McKinstry. Cody Bellinger lined out. Seiya drew a walk, and with 2 outs, Yan Gomes hits a single. Happ would score Suzuki to 3rd, but Gomes was thrown out at 2nd. Inning over, but at least they retook the lead 5-4.
And boy, has Yan Gomes been clutch, right? He seems to get hits in big situations late in games.
Yes, sir. And then in the top of the 9th, Heimer Candelario walked Chris Morel. How nice a little rest would do you. He's a pinch hit single. Magical bunted, my favorite, to advance the runners.
I was thinking of you when that play happened, Crawly. I thought of you when that play was going on.
Worked out this time, and Nico Horner hit a sac fly to give the Cubs a little insurance, and the lead was now 6-4. Alzley gave up a walk and a single before getting Jake Rogers to strike out to end the game, and we could all breathe a little bit there. The Cubs offense scored 6 runs on 9 hits. Gomes 2 for 4 with an RBI. One of the unsung heroes of this game was Julian Merriweather, who looked fantastic.
Absolutely.
1.1 innings and struck out 3. Really needed him, and then he came through clutch. And again, Tyone looked really good for 5 innings, and unfortunately the wheels fell off. But let me exhale for a second here because my heart is still beating from earlier today. Here is what David Ross said about Drew Smyly's outing. Okay. This is what he said afterwards. I want to get to it in a second, but Dustin, this was supposed to be a stretch where the Cubs really made up some ground, right? They played 8 games against 3 bad teams from the weak AL Central, the Sox, the Royals, and Detroit. And they finished 5-3. All right. What did you do there? You split a series and you won 2 series. You shouldn't be too upset about that. I don't know, man. To me, it just wasn't good enough, though, to go 5-3 against those teams.
No, not good enough. Not good enough at all. And go ahead. Tell us what he said. This bothered me as well.
I'm looking at this, and Ross finally took my advice and gave Morel a day off. But if Ross wants a couple more pieces of advice, here's what you're going to do here. I cannot stress enough that Ian Happ needs to be moved from the 3rd spot in the batting order. Okay. In the last 7 games, he's slashing 208, 269, 375, no home runs, Dustin, and 3 RBIs. He was 2 for 3 with no homers and 1 RBI against the Tigers. That's just not good enough for a number 3 hitter. Okay. Nope. And not only this, Dustin, down 2 runs on Tuesday night and representing the winning run at the plate. Guess who was sitting in the on-deck circle when Ian Happ struck out to end the game? Cody Bellinger. Okay. Now, I've read Baseball for Dummies. Okay. I understand that you want your best hitters to have the most at-bats possible. It is very clear that there are at least 2 hitters that are better than Ian Happ in Cody Bellinger and Heimer Candelario. I don't get this. It makes no sense. Okay. The second thing, Dustin, that is just chipping my hide here is I don't want to hear about Drew Smyly getting any more chances. If you intend to make the playoffs, right? It's almost an automatic loss. And Dustin, he was asked about it after the game. And this is what David Ross had to say about Drew Smyly's performance.
Who takes a spot in the rotation is the question, right? He's in there because we're just a little shorthanded right now. It's his first start back. Let's give him a little bit of grace. And I don't know that we have anybody waiting in line that we feel like is, some dominant force. So we're collectively as a group playing really good baseball. We fought our way back and got really close there at the end. They got one more big hit than us early on, and we weren't able to get that. We got some big hits, but we weren't able to get that crushing blow to come back, and it's hard. You get a 4 spot and get 4 right back. Like, that can be crushing, and these guys fought hard back for the rest of the game. So we keep playing baseball like that. We'll get better pitching. Drew's going to be better, and we'll keep going.
Is he, Dustin? Is he going to be better?
I don't know, but I would not give him the ball in a starting spot again. I would put him back in the bullpen, Crawly, and next up for me, it would be Hayden Wisniewski getting a start. Well, that's my opinion next time around. And listen, I'm also to blame, Crawly. I sat here on this podcast and I said I had no problem. If Drew Smyly was ever going to be given a chance, Crawly, it's against a terrible team like the Tigers while the Cubs are in playing meaningful baseball in August. And if he can't get it done then, you can't trust him in a bigger game. So he can't get it done in the starting spot. Now he goes to the bullpen. They need weapons in the bullpen too.
Here's what I want to say here right there. And if you listen closely, he said, we don't have someone that can come in and give us a dominant start. I'm not asking for a dominant start. I'm not asking for Cy Young out there, but I'm asking for somebody that cannot give up 6 or 7 runs every time out and completely burn the bullpen. And a name that should interest you, our friend Tommy Birch, he's been on the pod plenty. He noted that Jordan Wicks was scratched from his start in AAA Iowa today, non-injury related. So I don't know. We got the probables. We'll get to it shortly. But if you're telling me that Drew Smyly, I heard you on the Mully and Haw show this morning talking, was it 10 ERA and how many in his 8 last starts or something? That's unexcusable. And to sit there and be like, oh, we didn't get the big hit. Yeah, you got plenty of the big hits against that game. Drew Smyly kept giving up runs. And here's what Drew Smyly had to say after the game. If this doesn't sound like a guy that's mentally defeated, I don't know what is.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to pitch better. The team needs me. I need to pitch better. These games should be fun and they're meaningful, and I just have to play better.
Yes, you do. You have to play better, and the Cubs need you. The fans need you, and you didn't get it done. The good news is the Cubs won 2 out of 3, and they go to Pittsburgh next. So for right now, I'm going to get off it. I want to enjoy this. They have won 9. They have won 9 series since the All-Star break. Okay, tied with 2 other teams who have won 9 series in a row. You keep winning series, you're going to keep playing meaningful baseball from August into September, Crawly. So let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it for a couple of minutes anyway. But I understand where you are coming from. This is the Fly the W670 podcast. It's season 2. It's episode 64. Cubs Motown Madness. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. In this segment, Crawly interviews Alex Cohen, play-by-play voice for the Iowa Cubs, to see if there's anyone in AAA who can help the Cubs at the big league level.
Joining me on the Fly the W podcast, you recognize our old friend Alex Cohen, play-by-play voice of your Iowa Cubs. Alex, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well, Crawly. Appreciate you having me on. You say old friend. I definitely feel old right now. It's August. It's game number 120 of the Iowa Cubs 150-game season. But, doing pretty well. Team's 19 games over 500. They got some exciting players. And glad to come on with you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Alex, I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, man, obviously, I know you pay attention very well to, not just to the Iowa Cubs, but the big team and all the other minor league teams. But, after that Drew Smyly start and just seeing the bullpen, getting a lot of heavy usage, I just said to myself, there's no one better to ask what's going down in Iowa who could help out rather than Alex. Yeah. And sure enough, it was a crazy day on Cubs Twitter because 2 things happened and none of them kind of came to the fruition that we thought it would. One of them was that Jordan Wicks was scratched from his start. So everyone's like, and then the other thing was PCA was scratched, not in the lineup. And we all got super excited. Tell everybody what went down today.
Yeah. I mean, well, the PCA one, first of all, he's been here for 4 weeks. He's missed 1 game. And that game he DH'd. So just, with a bus ride to a night game and then a day game, just getting him off his feet. Getting him an opportunity to come in as a pinch hitter, which if he were to come up in Chicago, that could be one of the situations that he's put in. Some experience coming in 6th inning as a pinch hitter. I think that really helped for PCA. So that was scheduled for Jordan Wicks. It was. He was scratched an hour and a half before the game. And I think it was just to give Cubs some options. If they want to start him tomorrow or Sunday, they can do that. But also gives them the opportunity to really assess where they're at. And if you started Jordan Wicks today, you wouldn't be able to do that. So it just buys him a little bit of time. I think there's a possibility that he could get called up, obviously, from a logistical perspective, but also he might not. But I think now, giving him the option, obviously sitting him out on Wednesday, it gives you the opportunity to reassess where you're at with Drew Smyly, where you are at with the rotation, and where Jordan Wicks fits into the equation.
Now, it's funny because ever since PCA really started going through the system, I've been talking to Sam and, Ben, Max and BK, and then later on, talking with AA with Mick. Now you've had the PCA experience, man. So it's different because you guys see so many players come through.
Yeah.
What has it been like for you to see PCA in the time that you've seen him there so far?
He's lived up to the hype and then some. When a guy comes, into your locker room, he's the number 1 prospect in the organization, number 7 ranked prospect in all of minor league baseball. The expectations are very high, and he has surpassed every expectation. First 17 games, on base in every game, 15-game hitting streak, longest for a non-Cubs player in 4 years. And that's not even the best part of his game. He is a Gold Glove caliber, 80-grade defender in center field. I told a couple people this when I went into the locker room. I think it was like the 3rd day after Pete Crow Armstrong joined the team, and I asked our pitcher coach Ron Vallone, who been in the big leagues for close to 15 years. Who does he remind you of? And Ron isn't one to really put big labels on players like that. They have to earn the All-Star ranking, the prospect ranking. And he said, Alex, I have to be honest. He reminds you of a mix between Andrew Jones and Kenny Lofton, and I'm just like, whoa. Like, you're talking about one of the best defensive center fielders of all time, and Kenny Lofton, who's 6-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover. That's pretty high praise, coming from somebody like that who doesn't throw labels on prospects like that very often. So the expectations were high, and he has surpassed them. I feel like every game we get a web gem from Pete Crow Armstrong. But just his ability on the base pass to go from first to third, where most people start at second, to stretch a triple into a or a double into a triple when most people are stuck on second 99% of the time. He's 5 for 5 in stolen bases. He scored a run in every game. I mean, he's just such a catalyst offensively when he gets on base. So he's the number 7 ranked prospect in the organization, or number 7 ranked prospect in all minor league baseball. I think he might be underrated.
Wow. So, taking a look here, I talked a little bit about the bullpen and kind of, just really could use some bodies right here. And so far you got a couple of guys in there that had some time in the big leagues that are rehabbing. Brad Boxberger, I know he made his second appearance, I think, Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously going to take a little bit of time for him to kind of get going again. But what are you seeing out of Brad Boxberger so far?
I mean, at least he has the ability to throw strikes. The control is there, just getting that velocity back up, that conditioning back up. I mean, it's 97 degrees in Indianapolis. So, tough for him to get on the mound for the second time in 3 months and really feel 100%. So I think it'll take a couple outings, but you're not seeing a line where it's 1 inning, 3 walks. He's in and around the strike zone. He's just getting hit right now. The movement isn't quite there. The feel isn't quite there, and it'll get there. So I think that at least one step in the rehabilitation process, sorry about that, is just for him to throw strikes, and I think he's been able to do that. Nick Burdi's about to make his second appearance. I mean, he's looked sharp coming back from an appendectomy. Sliders there, fastball hit 100 miles per hour during his first appearance. So those 2 arms right there, I mean, you're looking for bullpen up in the minors. You have 2 major league rehabbers in Iowa that are on the cusp of getting back up to the big leagues. They should certainly help.
It's good to hear, because I was wondering, I thought that Burdi was supposed to go yesterday and he didn't get into the game, and I was kind of had an eyebrow raised, but it's good to hear that obviously that it doesn't seem to be a big issue.
Not right now. No.
Yeah. Now, looking at Jordan Wicks, we talked a little bit about him. I mean, it was really kind of a question. There was a feeling when they expanded rosters that, you're going to go pitcher position player, that it would probably be either Ben Brown or it would be Jordan Wicks. And unfortunately, I know that Ben Brown's been out a little bit. Have you heard anything about Ben and how he's feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben's in Arizona right now. We're working back from a lower body injury. He's somebody that I'm not sure if he's expected to miss the rest of the season, but he really got some great work this year. Hopefully he gets back for the Iowa Cubs stretch run, and more importantly, the Chicago Cubs stretch run. But he's in Arizona right now. And then Jordan Wicks, I mean, he's a guy over his last 4 starts, just 2.25 ERA, opponents hitting 165 against him. Changeup's working well in his last start. He struck out a season high 7. So he's missing bats. And he's a guy that I think if you put him in the big league rotation right now, I won't say that you're not skipping a beat, but he's going to give you an opportunity to win every single time he gets out, whether that's 4 innings and 3 runs, 5 innings, 1 run. I mean, he's a guy who has the pitchability factor. He's smart. He knows how to adjust on the fly, and he throws strikes. So he's going to give you an opportunity to win.
Now, 2 guys that, I was, how it goes with prospects, but I was almost certain we're going to be up at some point in time, and Jeremiah was. But can you tell me what's going on with Jeremiah Estrada and Cam Sanders?
Yeah, I mean, Cam pitched the other day and actually threw well. I mean, if you look at Cam's outings, it's 1, 2, 3 outings that are really, really strong in a row, and then 1 outing that he's struggling. So I'm still trying to adjust as a reliever. You see the strikeout numbers are really high, the velocity numbers are really high, the walks are really high. So it's essentially just trying to harness that 99-mile-per-hour fastball and know where it's going, and being able to implement that with a cutter and a slider. So I think Cam is healthy. The stuff's there. The velo's playing. It's just being able to remain consistent. And then Jeremiah Estrada obviously struggled in his last 6 outings with Iowa. He's back in Arizona, just trying to get healthy and trying to feel good about himself and trying to feel good about what he can bring to the mound. So, hopefully we'll see Jeremiah not only back in an Iowa Cubs uniform, but back in a Chicago Cubs uniform soon. But I think he just has to get to Arizona, and he got there already. And just trying to reset and just trying to either get back into the pitching lab or, go back and just work on some things, get to the grassroots of what was working before in the big leagues last year and how can he get back to that.
Now, one guy that, it's interesting because he played such a big role last year was Keegan Thompson. And it's obviously been kind of a wild season for him. What's going on down with Keegan right now?
He's actually been really, really good over the last 2 weeks. Keegan obviously got optioned to us at the end of May and then pitched with us for 3 weeks and put on the injured list for, I think it was 4 weeks, then came back, had 2 rough outings, and the last 4 have been really good. 8 in the 3rd inning, 6 hits, 2 runs, 8 Ks, 1 walk. And, the main issue when before he got on the IL, he was walking a lot of guys, and that's not normally what Keegan Thompson does. That is not a characteristic of Keegan, all throughout the minor leagues and even in the big leagues over the last 2 years. So being able to reestablish that control when he went on the injury list, just able to get healthy. Remember, during spring training, he was 91 to 92 miles per hour. Velo was down. Just being able to get strong, get healthy, put some weight back on. I think he's looked really good. And I think, again, over the last 4 outings, he's been able to reestablish that cutter against left-handed hitters, slider against right-handed hitters, and he's looking like the Keegan Thompson of old. I would not be surprised to see him back up at the big league sometime soon.
All right, that'd be great. And another guy that recently was up in AAA is Luke Little. And I always laugh, when you got a name like Luke Little and you're 6'8", 220 pounds.
Yeah, quite an oxymoron.
But when you think about the Cubs and what they're lacking in that bullpen and lefties, I mean, how's Luke doing with the adjustment from AA to AAA?
Yeah, his first outing, he struggled a little bit naturally. Then his last 2, he's been great. And especially his last outing, he was dominant. It was 2 innings, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts. And you see a 6'8" lefty that throws 95 miles per hour with that long reach. The 98.5 looks like 98. And the slider looks like it's 90 to 92 plus, and it's probably 85 to 87. So it gets up on you pretty quickly. Luke is a really talented pitcher. Again, 6'8" lefty already has an advantage, and throwing 95 and being able to locate it. If you look at his last outing, all the strikeouts the hitters look baffled. That was as strong as of an outing out of the bullpen that I've seen all season. So I think that he has the stuff to get up to the big leagues. I think that he eventually will, whether that is September 2023 or May 2024. That remains to be seen.
Now, obviously, there was a big commotion and everybody was excited when Matt Mervis came up. And then, obviously hitting in the big leagues is hard. No one's going to say it's not.
Yes,
but,
it is.
He's been down in Iowa and it seems like he's just kind of doing what he did last year, which is, hitting the ball and making smart decisions, taking his walks.
Yep.
As far as it goes, this has been just kind of crazy because, you just had this bounce back from Cody Bellinger. And then the fact that he could play first and Talkman came out of nowhere and Mervis has gotten lost in the shuffle. But if people aren't paying attention to Iowa, they're missing that Mervis is still doing some special things.
Yeah, look at Matt Mervis's numbers in August. They are better this year than his numbers were last year when he was the best hitter in all of minor league baseball. All of last year in August, he had 4 home runs. He's had 5 home runs in his last 12 games. He's had an extra base hit in 9 out of his last 12 games. If you look at the OPS in August compared to August last year, higher. On-base percentage, higher. More home runs, more extra base hits. So Matt Mervis 2023 in August is a better player than Matt Mervis 2022 in August. He was a pretty darn good player back then too. So I think that he's been able to adjust. He's gotten on base more. He's drawn more walks. And I think he's found a comfortable zone where he's not afraid to strike out, but he's able to be aggressive. He's able to take walks. It's controlled aggressiveness. I think he's been able to channel that during his last 2 months, and he's looked really good. So, again, 5 homers in your last 12 games. You look at the game that he had on Tuesday night in Indianapolis. He went 2 for 4. He had a home run down the right field line at 112 miles per hour, and that was the 3rd best ball that he hit all game. He had a 106 mile per hour line drive to left center field that was caught on a diving catch, and then a 394-foot fly out to left center field that would have been out in pretty much every other park in the International League. So he's definitely swinging the bat well, and he's using all field. So that's really helped him.
Now, a guy that had just a horrific injury, and now he's back in Iowa, Alexander Canario. I mean, it was him and Mervis last year that really led the home runs and all of that stuff. But it looks like Alexander Canario is starting to find his stroke again.
Yeah, 11-game hitting streak. He's homered to back-to-back games. Alexander Canario last year was one of the most explosive, productive prospects in all of minor league baseball. You see the 37 home runs, but he also swiped over 20 bags. He had over 20 doubles. Alexander Canario, they didn't even think he was going to play this year. He had not 1 but 2 really serious injuries that most people would have missed 8 to 12 months. All he's done was come back from it in 6 months, and with Iowa in 1 month, he's averaged a run batted in per game. So just took him a little bit of time to get adjusted, but he is just barreling the baseball right now. Again, home runs in back-to-back games. He had 3 hits today. He had a double to left center field that he hit, I think it was 108 miles per hour off the bat. It's 380 feet on a line. I mean, he has power that you just don't see at really any level of baseball. He has 4 legitimate tools. He can play all 3 outfield positions. He can throw, he can run, he can hit for power. If he could somehow, some way continue to hit 250, 260, he's a legitimate big league player.
Now, you had an interesting tweet the other day about Nick Madrigal and how he's performed since he's come back from Iowa. What have you been noticing when you watch the Cubs and from what you saw of Nick Madrigal when he was in Iowa?
Hits. I understand that he will not hit 10 to 12 home runs. I understand that he does not have a Manny Machado or a Nolan Arenado arm at third, but he makes every single play that you need to have made at third, and he's going to hit 280 to 300. There is value for that on a big league team. Is he going to start and hit fifth 162 games? Maybe not. But is he going to help you win games in September, possibly clinch a playoff berth? I think he does.
Now, as far as it goes, your season is coming again. All of baseball is kind of coming close to an end, but you're really kind of coming close here. What needs to happen for the Iowa Cubs to make the postseason again?
Need 19 teams in the International League to lose. Need Lehigh Valley to go on a 10-game losing streak, St. Paul to go on a 9-game losing streak, and Worcester to go on an 8-game losing streak. No, I just think that the I-Cubs need to keep swinging the bat well. They're a team that is in the top 5 in the International League in basically every statistical offensive category. Credit to John Maley for that. He's done a tremendous job with this team. But just continue to score runs and then just reestablish your starting pitching. With Ben Brown getting hurt and Jordan Wicks getting scratched, we've seen a lot of bullpen days. But to be able to get a starter every 5th, every 6th day that has been normalized in that rotation, whether it's Nick Nider, getting Riley Thompson back, putting Chris Clark back in the starting rotation, getting Caleb Killian back, what they decide to do with Jordan Wicks. I think being able to have 5 or 6 starters instead of 2 or 3 starters at this juncture of the year, that'll really help.
Well, Alex, I don't know if they're going to make the postseason or not, but I hope
they do. I want a trip to Vegas.
I'll tell you this, though. Every time Stu, William, Marty, the Salsa King, and myself have gone to Iowa, the Cubs have always won. We had a opening day massacre, and we were down with the Salsa King for the walk-off. That was Edwin Rios' walk-off.
That was, yeah. I see the screenshot of you guys jumping up and down in the left field skybox. Great. We're actually mounting that in the skybox, that picture right there, just the pure, unadulterated joy. You guys were you were a lot of fun.
Well, you know what, man? I tell you, Iowa is just it's really fun. It's fun to go to the games. You guys just put on such a great product, and not only that, I love listening to your play-by-play. Do you have another marquee date coming up?
We do. I believe it's September 14th, which is a very important date. It's the last day that I'm a 34-year-old. It's the day before my birthday. So then, you know what? I'm going to have the marquee broadcast, and then I'm going to run for president, when I'm 35. So we got a very busy weekend. Very busy weekend.
Well, Alex, I absolutely appreciate you jumping on and talking some Iowa Cubs. Hopefully, one of the guys we talked about can really be a difference maker down the stretch. Where can people go to follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, check me out at Voice of Cohen 2. It used to be at Voice of Cohen. Then I got hacked. Elon didn't help me. So we're at Voice of Cohen 2. Just check us out online at iowacubs.com, at Iowa Cubs on Twitter, Iowa Cubs on Facebook, at Iowa Cubs on Instagram. Yeah, we have a lot of fun content, especially with Pete Crow Armstrong being here, Matt Mervis being here, Alexander Canario being with the iCubs. People care. When you have those prospects and winning baseball, it's a really good combination. So, and
I got to give you a hat tip. I thought that your bobbleheads this year, and I'm probably like the only geek right now that cares about this, but I thought your bobblehead set this year was pretty smoking.
Love it. That's going to be forwarded to the promotion staff right there.
The Matt Mervis, the Caleb Killian, and the Brennan Davis. I mean, those are good looking bobbleheads.
The three-peat. Yeah, no, it's they did a great job with it. We've had a really successful year with promotions and just with our atmosphere at the ballpark. We've had crowds of 11,400, 11,200, our largest crowd since 2019. And again, you combine that with winning baseball. It's been a really nice summer. We hope for it to continue.
Well, Alex, I appreciate it. And everyone, I'm hoping, like I said, you can always catch the Iowa Cubs if you have the MLB package. It includes all the minor league games. And again, like you said, coming up on Marquee in September, the day before your birthday. Can't miss TV. Alex, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
This is episode 64 of season 2 of the Fly the W670 podcast. It's Cubs Motown Madness. And right now, Crawly, we are going to take a look at some roster moves and begin to preview a Crawly favorite, a 4-game series against the Buccos in Pittsburgh.
Yep. And if you take a look at the standings, Dustin, right now, the Brewers are on a hot streak. They had a really tough stretch, and they've risen to the occasion. They're 7-3 in their last 10. 4-game winning streak. Okay.
Yeah.
The Cubs, unfortunately, I mean, they're right there with them, but they're 6-4 in their last 10. So they've lost some grounds. They're 5 games over 500 in second place at 3.5. And luckily the Cincinnati Reds dropped one and have struggled lately. They've gone 5-5. So the Cubs are half a game ahead of them. Pittsburgh is who the Cubs are playing next. They're 57-69, and they're 8.5 back, but they're on a 2-game. They were on a 2-game win streak. I believe they lost today to St. Louis. And so St. Louis still in the basement. Funny to see Wilson Contreras getting ejected and drawing the strike zone for the umpire. Looks like the better team, better organization is doing real well for him.
Yeah, the Cardinal way. What happened to that Cardinal way, Crawly?
Right. When we look at the wild card, though, the Cubs are alone in the wild card for second place in the wild card. 4 games, about 3.5 games behind the Phillies. Arizona is right there with the Cubs, statistically speaking. And then Cincinnati half a game back, San Francisco half a game back, and Miami a game back. So it is like
too many teams for me to keep track of, Crawly. Too many teams for me to be scoreboard watching.
Well, it does make it fun. The fact that, you can sit there and all these fan bases, you're talking about 6 fan bases have a chance to get in the postseason. And 4 of those, really maybe wouldn't have as much if they didn't have that extended postseason. So it's going to be one exciting run. And when you look at those wild card teams and some of those teams in it, the Reds, San Francisco, Arizona, the Cubs are going to see plenty of them come the end of August and September.
Yes, they are. No doubt about that. All right, let's look at some roster moves, Crawly.
Yeah, there wasn't any real roster moves, but Brad Boxberger pitched 0.1 innings of work on Tuesday for the Iowa Cubs. He gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 K. He threw 23 pitches, 13 4 strikes. Now, Nick Burdi was also scheduled to pitch Tuesday, but he did not appear in the game. So that's something that has me a little bit puzzled, but hopefully nothing wrong there. Brandon Hughes reported no issues after throwing a second bullpen session on August 21st. So right now we're just, like I said, waiting for the cavalry to arrive and hopefully help out a very depleted bullpen staff right now.
Absolutely. We could get some help. We'll see. And then also there's the report that you mentioned in the first segment, right, about Jordan Wicks.
Right. So, we'll see what happens, but I'm really, like I said, we got the probables, but here's the thing about probables until, you still can change it up to the day of. So
yep.
I'm hoping that's something that changes.
All right. So speaking of probables, those probables would be for the series coming up starting on Thursday against the Pirates. How about this, Crawly? The Cubs are 6-0 so far against the Pirates this season.
So far, so good. But the only month they played them in was June. 3 at home on June 13th through the 15th, and then at Pittsburgh, June 19th to the 21st. On the 19th, the Cubs and Drew Smyly beat Osvaldo Bito 8-0. Remember when Smyly was good? All right.
I was going to say, was that Smiley's last win?
Mike Tauchman went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Nico Horner drove in 2 runs. On the 20th, Marcus Stroman, remember him? And the Cubs beat Pittsburgh 4-0. Mike Tauchman and Tucker Barnhart, remember him? They both homered. And on the 21st, the Cubs completed the sweep with an 8-3 victory. Kyle Hendricks picked up the win. Rich Hill charged with the loss. Horner had a 2-run triple and a solo home run. Ian Happ had a 2-run double. But the team is going to look slightly different than the one the Cubs faced in June. Obviously, the Cubs now have Heimer Candelario in the lineup. Tucker Barnhart gone. Eric Hosmer gone. You have Trey Mancini gone. And the Pirates, they dealt Rich Hill and Jinman Choi to the Padres. We won't see those guys. Austin Hedges went to the Rangers. Rodolfo Castro went to the Phillies. And Carlos Santana was a good pickup by the Brewers. So thanks, Pirates. The Buccos currently have a 57-70 record. They took 2 of 3 from a bad Cardinals team this week. They did lose the finale today, 6-4.
All right, so tomorrow evening, if you will, the Buccos and the Cubbies, and we've got our ace, Crawly, Game 1, Justin Steele against TBD.
Yep, the legendary TBD. So I don't know what the Pirates are doing with their staff right now, but Justin Steele just keeps on winning. He's 14-3. He has wins in 2 of his last 3 games and a no decision. Against KC, he picked up the win. He gave up 2 runs on 6 hits. Against Toronto, he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings on 6 hits. And against Atlanta, 5.1 innings, gave up 3 runs on 8 hits. All in the last 3 games, he has 7 strikeouts in each of those games. 0 walks against KC, 0 against Toronto, but he had 4 walks against Atlanta, and that's a really, really good team. So hopefully not a big deal, but we don't know who the Cubs are going to face. Last I checked, there hasn't been any updates on that, and it still is TBD. So, who knows what they're doing right now? That's kind of one of those things when you're a team that really is out of it. You have more flexibility to kind of play around,
Yep. All right. So game 2, Kyle Hendricks, who, despite putting a lot of guys on base, having a lot of traffic, if you will, always the king of soft contact, he has been getting the job done overall.
Yeah, it's just a good, solid back of the end rotation starter. He has 1 win in his last 3 starts, also against KC, 6.1. He gave up 1 earned run on 5 hits. Against the White Sox, he went 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs on 7 hits, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. That's the traffic you've been referring to. And then the Mets, he went 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs on 5 hits, 2 walks, 6 Ks. So he's been really solid. You just hope that he can kind of keep it going.
Keep it going is what we hope for. What do we know about Mitch Keller? He's got 10 wins. That seems like a lot for a Pirates team.
Yeah, Mitch Keller is really one of their best pitchers out there. The kid, like you said, 10-8. In the last 3 starts, he has 1 win. That was against Minnesota. He went 6 innings pitched, gave up 2 earned runs on 7 hits, 12 strikeouts against the Twinkies, Dustin, against 1 walk. So, wow.
Yeah, Twins are a pretty good baseball team.
The Reds, he went 6 innings, gave up 1 run on 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 Ks. And against Atlanta, he went 5 innings pitched, gave up 3 earned runs on 9 hits. So the Cubs have their work cut out for them in this one.
Yep, but I like the fact that they've got the professor on the hill. So I see game 3. The Cubs have a pitcher, but we're back to TBD as far as the Pirates go.
Yep, TBD as far as the Pirates go. So you do have Javier Assad, who has just been a very solid pitcher, which is what you've been at, what you needed. He's really helped ever since Stroman went down. He has 1 win in his last 3 starts. He did not get the win in Detroit. He pitched 5.1 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, got the no decision, but that wasn't his fault. Against the White Sox, he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, but didn't get the win, not his fault. And then against Toronto, he got the win, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, his best start of the year.
Absolutely right. So without knowing who the TBD is, I'll take the Cubs' chances in this game as well. And then we get to game 4. And as you said earlier, it's just a probable. So we'll see if the Cubs give the ball to Drew Smyly, if they give it to Jordan Wicks, I guess, if they give it to Hayden Wesneski.
Guys, here's the thing. When we get these probables, there's different types of ways to get the probables. There's certain websites that kind of say where people should be on the rotation. And then other times when we look at the probables, we get them from the Cubs. This is straight from the Cubs. So Drew Smyly is scheduled to pitch the last game. And does that mean he's going to? Of course not. But after that performance right now, 3.2 innings against Detroit, giving up 8 hits, 7 earned runs, giving up the long ball all over the place, I don't know how they could give the guy another start and look at the rest of the players in the face and say we're trying to win. That to me just makes no sense at all. No,
not a whole heck of a lot. That's
you're looking here, Dustin, against Detroit. He gave up 7 earned
runs.
Who
would you start? Who would you start on Sunday?
I would start Jordan Wicks if I had the opportunity.
All right. You go Wicks. I'd go Wesneski. But I'm looking. The Cubs do either of those two things.
Right. I'm looking here against Detroit. He gave up 7 earned runs. His last start was August 7th. He gave up 7 to the Mets. He gave up 5 to the Reds. The guy is just literally getting hit like a piñata, and it just can't keep happening.
All right. Now we look at a lefty going for the Pirates. So I guess Seiya Suzuki will definitely be in the lineup for that one. We probably won't see Talkman. But this Bailey Falter is 1-7, Crawly.
Yep, 1-7. So like I said, this is a crazy one because I just don't believe they would put Drew Smyly out there. I really don't. In the last 3 games, he has 1 win and 2 no decisions. His win came against St. Louis. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run. He had 8 strikeouts to 2 walks. Before that, against the Mets, he went 5.1 innings, gave up only 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. And then against Atlanta, he went 4 innings, gave up 4 earned runs on 8 hits. So this is a guy that's been pitching better as of late. So obviously you look at the win-loss, you look at the ERA. He was out for a little bit. He was in the minor leagues for a little bit. He was traded. He came over in a trade. So he's a guy that's kind of had he was with the Phillies previously. And so the Phillies traded Rodolfo Castro to get Bailey Falter. And so, he's in a new team, really kind of, not sure what to expect from him. We'll see what happens.
We will see. All right. So we went through the pitching matchups, at least what we know. Now let's go hot and not. And Crawly, my guy, Nicky Madrigal, not making the hot list.
Well, the only reason we didn't put Nicky Madrigal on the hot list a little bit, it really doesn't have to do with that. It's just at bats. I'm looking at bats. With Seiya Suzuki has 20 at bats. He was 9 for 20 in that, and he was phenomenal. 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. He is slashing 450, 478, slugging 800. Yan Gomes in 15 at bats. He's 6 for 15 and slashing 400, 436, 523. And then your guy, Nicky Madrigal, he's only had 10 at bats, but 4 hits in those 10 at bats. He has a couple doubles, 3 RBIs, slashing 400, 400, slugging 600. And then Heimer Candelario, you could put in there 5 in his last 20, so with a home run and 4 RBIs. So, really right now, Gomes, Madrigal, and Candelario would be your hottest hitters.
All right. On the not side, we knew Christopher Morel would hit this not list, but Dansby Swanson hitting this list once again.
Yep, he is 4 for his last 21. Hopefully he's coming out of it. He has a home run and 4 RBIs. He had that big game. It was the second game of the series. But he's slashing 190, 292, 353. And then when you take a look, Christopher Morel, like we said, 1 for his last 16 with an RBI. So slashing .063, .118, .063. I would give Nick Madrigal another start personally.
All right, let's give him another start. I'm fine with that as well. All right, Crawly, who's the guy that Cub fans need to be paying attention to when they're at the plate?
Yep, we've been all too accurate on this lately, Dustin, but the guys that I'm a little nervous about are names that are familiar to Cub fans. Connor Joe is 6 for his last 16 with no home runs, 4 RBIs. He's slashing 375, 524, 688. The other guy to kind of keep an eye on is Andrew McCutchen, who's 8 for his last 22 with 3 doubles, 2 homers, and 7 RBIs. He's slashing 364, 391. He's slugging 773.
Wow.
So just kind of really be careful with that guy.
All right, Jack Sawinski, a local guy on the not list.
Yep, Jack Sawinski is 0 for his last 11. No home runs, no RBIs, and he's not hitting it Wrigley. So he's slashing 0, 214, and slugging 0. Joshua Palacios, right fielder, struggling as well, 2 for his last 19 with 1 homer and 5 RBIs. He's slashing 105, 190, 316.
All right, prediction time. I will go first this time, Crawly. I'm saying 3 out of 4. That's not bad. I'd take that and have the Cubs come home after winning 3 out of 4 in a great position to face off against the Brewers. You talk about a series that you can't wait to get here next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Wrigley.
Oh, God, I'm nervous. I'll be there Monday. It's going to be wrestling night. There's going to be a Hulk Hogan bobblehead.
Hulk Hogan bobblehead.
So
I saw that. It made me laugh.
I'm jacked up about that one, but I'm telling you right now, this is so crazy because we have 2 TBDs and we have a guy that I'm not 100% positive is going to start
game four may as well be TBD on the Cubs side at this point.
Right. So at this point in time, I mean, if everything stays as is, if Drew Smyly makes that game 4 start, I have the Cubs winning game 1 and 3 and losing game 2 and 4.
Pessimist, Crawly the pessimist.
If Jordan Wicks or Hayden Wesniewski get the start in game 4, I have the Cubs taking 3 of 4.
All right, 3 of 4 for us then. We're going to go 3 for 4. That's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, down, review, and don't forget the most important part, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow us on all the socials, Fly the W on Facebook, Instagram, and you can email us, flythew670@gmail.com. And Crawly, they can watch us on YouTube by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, enjoy the weekend. I know it's 4 games. You hate that. You and I will get back together Sunday or early Monday and preview that Brewer series and wrap up the Pirate series.
It's going to be crazy. And right now it's time to go to the Steel City and get some W's. Go Cubs. Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, Be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!